Silent Siren. Maybe you were nervous, maybe you were confident, maybe you didn't think it would ever happen at all, but they are back. So let's talk Sus4. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where Sus4, or Suspended 4, or whatever you want to call it, does mark the first song to come out from Silent Siren since their 2022 release of Familiar, since their return from hiatus, since the loss of their drummer Hina that actually set off that entire hiatus to begin with, and therefore this is the first song to be released out from underneath that shadow of Hina's departure, the first one where they intentionally released it as a three-piece. And you know what? There has been so much excitement that I felt, and I'm sure other fans have felt, about the band coming back. And I must admit that part of that is because we just simply didn't expect to see them back so soon. I mean, yes, after the original hiatus was announced, we still got to see that Sue, Ainyan and Yuka were staying together as a kind of a unit and making things like that company San, which I still don't 100% know what that was, and creating things like the Chateau app, which I'm still not 100% sure what that actually does. But all of this with a refreshed, sort of suited up look where it really appeared that they were going to be growing up and sort of entering this adult phase of entrepreneurship, which, you know, no one should be locked into a youthful state, but for a band who had really injected a sense of youthful joy into so many of our hearts for so long, it was kind of an interesting shake-up. It was taking something that had been such a youthful joy and really running it through the process of almost like, well, we've had a divorce and now it's time for everyone to grow up. So when Silent Siren announced that they were going to have this return and quickly followed it up with a performance at the 2023-2024 sort of live New Year festivals, and then they had the single being announced in January, the one that we're talking about today, announced a mini album coming out at the end of March. All of this was really exciting, but the truth is that almost none of it was as exciting as the fact that their announcement of their return really put a focus on youthful joy. And considering that their independent company and the YouTube channel in which they're sort of hosting a lot of this return is actually called Youthful Tune, I mean, it seems to indicate that they're very serious about that. Something that I'm personally happy about. I'm happy to have that whole feeling and atmosphere come back. I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm not sure if Youthful Tune has anything to do with saying. I'm going to be fair, I'm not going to take the time to check that. The whole saying thing, look, Youthful Tune, excitement. Anyway, all of that aside, does Sus4 live up to the expectations of a return single from a legendary pop rock giant? Well, yes and no. See, Sus4 fits into that interesting category of being an intentionally safe return single that also seems to have been released quite quietly. On its moment of release, I kept their YouTube channel open as well as Spotify to see if an accompanying video would make an appearance. But in retrospect, I'm not surprised that it didn't, and perhaps wouldn't expect anything other than a simple one to appear if we do ever even get a video for this song. See, Sus4 is clearly something a bit more personal than a gigantic fanfare return. The song is a smooth melodic pop rock number with a bit of pace and life, but clearly no desire to grab you with contemporary sounds or hooky choruses. Instead, we're treated to a satisfyingly wistful melody that glides over a smooth pop rock groove and sounds like a nice approximate average of Silent Siren's previous sounds. Not a ballad, not a rocker, not bouncing with joy or tearfully pondering, but somewhere in a satisfying middle ground. A foot tapper with enough heart to feel genuine and enough melody to sing along to. Most importantly though, to a Silent Siren fan, it feels like an old friend. A warm, comfy chair with the rain on the window outside. It's a sound that a Silent Siren fan will recognise immediately. In this sense, I feel it really is the perfect way to return, and understandably with minimal fanfare, at least for now. I mean, perhaps Cherry Bomb 2.0 will come out next, or another Fujiyama Disco, and that song will then command a bigger release and financial investment into a music video, but what point is there in trying to grab a big single if you haven't grabbed your core fans back from their patient slumber first? This does, however, leave us with a question. See, Sus4 does a great job of balancing the three remaining members of Silent Siren in that we hear Sue's voice holding that gorgeous melody, whilst Ainyan gets lots to do on the bass, as ever adding a lot of Silent Siren's musical legitimacy to their pop-friendly sound, and Yuka colours the song with gorgeous keyboard tones, but you can't help but ponder the drums. See, Back years ago when I first reviewed Silent Siren and churned through their catalogue, I had mentioned that Hina was a great pop drummer, but with a propensity towards a certain disco shuffle-like beat that, well, is kind of here again. Not knowing how much of that was her writing it or their ongoing creative partnership with their longtime writer, it leaves a slightly curious feeling. See, beyond the drums, I want Silent Siren to both still be Silent Siren, still maintain that feeling of familiar joy that we always got from them, but also not to stagnate. Honestly, Sus4 is not a platform from which I'm going to judge their future, as I feel it is intentionally a comfy, safe fit for fans, and I'm glad to not see them miss a step in being themselves. However, it does clearly outline what questions and expectations will now exist for the upcoming mini-album. I hope to hear, assuming we're talking about maybe 6 tracks, perhaps 3 comfy, familiar-sounding songs, including Sus4, and then have another 3 songs which we can genuinely consider surprises. As much as there would be a pain to losing a long-time member like Hina, eventually that translates into the freedom of deciding what to do with the open-ended space in your sound, in your band. And I hope it becomes Silent Siren's opportunity to play with odd beats, maybe lean into their pop credentials with something a tad funk or even EDM. Ultimately, we have been assured of Silent Siren's return, and in a perfect world, we're looking forward to a second single being maybe their chart topper, and the mini-album being a nod to both the past and the future. However, for a fan like myself whose 2020 Silent Siren VIP ticket was cancelled due to COVID, and who never got to see them live after that, I should just be glad they're back. It's easy to rush ahead with excitement, especially considering how quickly and satisfyingly this has all occurred. It's easy to turn my excitement at the familiar sound of Sus4 into my eagerness for the next song, like a kid opening the first Christmas present whilst eyeing the biggest box under the tree. However, in the same way we don't want Silent Siren to get complacent, it's important as a fan to also be patient. Sus4 is a superb song designed to please fans more than blow minds, and as a fan I am both pleased and just comforted to hear them back in action. Silent Siren have, and I think always will, bring something to Japanese girls rock that few else seem to be able to do. In a scene with more and more heavy bands, with a seeming trend for cool minimalist bands, and as ever with a girl band scene colouring a lot of the pop image, this colourful 4-piece band of Sus4 are a unique ambassador for musicianship in the most poppy of places. Not justified by the anime tie-ins of their peers in Bang Dream, nor reliant on the stage shows of Perfume, Silent Siren are just good pop, musical pop, and they're back. So whether you're a fan of them or not, be glad and wish them well. I know I will. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this one. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think, press all the YouTubery buttons, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.